my loves, and welcome to this final episode of Let's Replay Blasphemous. We've done all of the additional content now. We've got all of the Amanecidas. All of that is done. There are only 2 encounters left in the entire game. And we've also done pretty much everything else as well. There's a couple, 1 or 2 little puzzles that we haven't done. One of which may in fact be impossible with the penance that we've currently got. I believe it is impossible, which is the one in the little anatomical book room in the Library of Negated Words. If you want to see how that works, go and watch the original Let's Play of Blasphemous, because we do manage it in that one. This is the penultimate encounter. This lady is not only the head of the same order as the knights we've already encountered, she is also the one...
in sleeplessness.
Yeah.
Carrying the guilty sword.
Oh dear.
You have committed the most serious crimes against the Mother and her saints.
Oh dearie me.
Against the miracle and its outbreaks. We have been entrusted with putting an end to your mission.
Good luck.
I, Chrysanta in penance.
Chrysanta, yeah.
Excommunicate you, expel you, execrate you.
Oh dear.
With the blessing of our miracle of the greatest pain.
Someone has gotten
And
their
thus
dictionary
shall
out.
your name be erased under the heavens.
Yeah, Chrysanta was the character we saw at the beginning of the game who actually led the slaughter of the Penitent One's order and left him dead amongst his brothers, and quite rightly proclaimed that if there were some merit in our order, that we would rise again. The miracle would resurrect us to continue its purpose, and that's exactly what has happened. There's something almost like there's predestined about this encounter. I mean, Escribar, yeah, he's the final encounter, but this is the real grudge match. She's the one who murdered us at the beginning of the game and killed the rest of our order. So she is really the prime antagonist. It's very, I mean, funnily enough, in that regard, it does echo the first Metroidvania, which is Super Metroid, technically, in the sense that Mother Brain is the final boss of that game, but the big bad, the antagonist for Samus Aran, is the space dragon Ridley, who murdered her parents and killed her space colony, who's the penultimate boss. It seems to be a thing that happens in these games for some reason. There's a real grudge match happening here, and Chrysanta is the head of the order who protects Escribar. They're an order of holy knights, basically, crusaders and templars who protect Escribar. I don't know quite what the nature of their order is, but it's obviously all to do with martial duty and all this kind of thing. They are the more martial cult of the miracle, if you like. What I find interesting is her garb does echo that of the Penitent One, doesn't it? Very much so. And that leads me to wonder, is there something more going on here in the extended background? Was she once a member of the Penitent Order? Of our particular cult? It's hard to say. She certainly doesn't like us. Whereas Escribar seems to beckon us from beyond. He seems to be awaiting us, as though he's coordinating the next stage of the miracle. She absolutely hates us. She believes that we are blasphemy made manifest, hence the name of the game, you know? And she is definitely the harder encounter. She is one of the hardest encounters in the game. She's got very set patterns, and she's got very set tells, but even given that, she's so quick, she's so fast, and if she catches you in a particular combo of attacks, you're done. She will just keep hitting you and hitting you and hitting you until you're cornered, and then she will kill you. She's a very, very tough fight indeed. It's really an endurance trial, this one, because you can't brute force her. You've got to wait for your chance to strike. If you don't, then she'll catch you. She'll catch you out and then you'll be done. It's a genuinely tough battle, this one. She combines the movesets of all the other knights that we've faced, along with quite a few of her own. And the only way of doing it, it's a very... I hate myself for saying it once again, but it is a kind of like... It's like those encounters in Bloodborne and Dark Souls, you know, when you fight against other human characters. When you fight against the hunters in Bloodborne and the knights in Dark Souls. It's very much that. very, very, very much that. And it works very well. It's a great encounter, this one. Probably one of my favourites in the whole game. You know, I love the entities that the Miracle has transformed and twisted and made into monstrosities. I love that. But she is such an elegant encounter in terms of her mechanics. Such an elegant encounter. She reminds me of that character from Bloodborne in the old Hunters. What's her name? The one that the doll is based on. She's an absolutely beautiful fight as well, and this has a similar elegance about it. She's very tough. I mean, this is judiciously edited, you know. She killed me quite a few times before I actually managed to take her down. Even when you've got her attacks down and you know her tells and all of that business, she's still really tough because you've got to position the Penitent One just so. Just so, every single time you dodge, every single time you attack, otherwise you're not getting through. She's a brilliant fight. Really well designed, really well coordinated, finely balanced, wonderful fight. Interestingly, the miracles, or rather the hymns, don't give you much advantage here. Not many of them work. This is great. This is setting up the sequel. There is definitely going to be a sequel, and she is going to be involved somehow. I don't know how, but she's... Oh.
Purge my soul bitten by the Miracle.
Oh, so she's inviting death, but she doesn't take it. Look, she blocks us and she disappears. So what does that mean, I wonder? Has she failed? Does that mean that, like, she is, she's actually not sacrificed herself when she maybe should have? You know? Maybe that's what the theme of the next game is going to be. Maybe in the next game we're going to play as her and not as the Penitent One. That would make sense, all things considered. I mean, those of you who know the end know what's going to happen. Yes, I'm just checking here to make sure I've done everything, and it's all done. All of the Escribar statues, because I want the best ending, if possible. The true ending of the game, obviously. Look at that. I mean, oh my god, I'm going to put this one on. My god, the backgrounds in this game. Here we are. This is the Sanctum Sanctorum of Custodia. This is the very heart of it. This is where Escribar sleeps and presides over the miracle itself.
In my dreams, I heard your footsteps coming closer. In my dreams, I tried to talk to you and introduce myself. Guardian of the miracle and of the miracle banner, with great pain, I carry the emblem of the Father. I am the hands of bloodied skin. I am the eyes from which our mother gazes. But nothing I know of you, apart from your cold, nameless visage, apart from your calloused and wounded hands, apart from the mourning of your deaths. No, I know nothing of you. Only the miracle knows.
Only the miracle. Interesting. There he is. It's Escribar.
Now your sword full of guilt with mine of gold collide. Let them hurt and march in procession. I curse you forever in name.
And here we go. So Escribar is like, he encapsulates all the myriad pains of the miracle. The miracle has blessed him such that every single pain and suffering in Custodia, every penance is his forever. So he is in a state of constant communion with the miracle and in a state of constant rapturous agony. I kind of love that. I mean, if you look into his background, he was actually a doubter. He was actually a blasphemer himself. He turned his back on the miracle because it wouldn't speak to him, because it wouldn't show itself to him. And so the miracle basically thought to itself, oh, all right then, you want me to talk to you? I'll talk to you. I will show you every aspect of myself. You will know me in every manner in which I manifest. And that's what it did. It made him a vessel for everything that it incorporates. It actually twisted him in the same way it twisted the original saint of the miracle, the father, the boy who became the twisted tree. It turned Escribar into a tree as well. Sometimes if you look in the background, particularly when you're on your way across the Archcathedral rooftops, you can see him. You can see his living condition. Ah, of course.
You have shattered the mirror. Now you see me awoke.
As the true son of the miracle, yeah. Awoken as the true son of the miracle. That's what he is, the truest son of the miracle. Thus far. Thus far. There is this suggestion that he's guided us to this point because he knows the miracle is due to move on to the next phase, and to do that it needs another saint. That's how it works. He's the presiding saint over the presiding form of the miracle and of Custodia as it currently is. But someone will inevitably come along and change that, end it, and that's us. Our Custodia, our miracle, is the one that's due to occur next. And this is Escribar in his true state, as the child of the miracle. Endlessly encapsulated and suffering forever. This fight is a bit of a pain. It's actually, you know what, in terms of its mechanics, it's not that hard. Once you know all of the different phases, once you know what they're going to do, it's really not that hard. The problem with it, as I may have mentioned the first time round, is that because it is slightly randomized, it relies on luck a lot of the time. As you can see, sometimes the platforms disappear after I've done away with the sword, so I just can't reach him. Yeah? So that it depends on the luck of the platforms and of the patterns that he follows, rather than any particular skill on your part as the player. Which is a bit of a pain, really. And that sword is a pain in the arse. That sword is the hardest part of it. You know, if it weren't for that sword, it'd be dead easy. It would actually be one of the easier boss fights in the game. But the fact that you've got to deal with the sword as it's floating around and moving away from you, and moving off screen, actually, that is one element I don't like about this fight. The sword shouldn't be able to move off screen. The fact that it can, it often delays the fight in a rather unfair manner, I find. I love the image of him. The face looking down at you from behind that mask is wonderful, isn't it? And the papal nature of his form, you know, that helmet that's very redolent of a cardinal's hat. I love it. I love it to bits. It's beautiful. It's a great final encounter as well. Brilliant final encounter. What's that he's got around his neck? Do we ever find out? This is the hardest part of this phase. The fireballs, the first Escribar, the human form, when he does the fireballs, it's really easy. When he does them in this phase, it's definitely the hardest of his attacks to dodge, without a shadow of a doubt. Uh-oh. God, he got me caught in a combo there. Yeah, he is an amazing final encounter. He reminds me very much of Gwyn, when you first fight Gwyn, the Lord of Light from Dark Souls. It's got that same feeling of sadness and transition about it, as though this marks the end of things, the end of the world as it stands, and the beginning of a new one, the beginning of something new, which isn't necessarily better, you know. I mean, the Penitent one is not necessarily going to usher in a better world. You know, the faith of the Penitent one is bound to be pretty hideous, all things considered. It's bound to be one of violence and excoriation and pain, isn't it? As much as Escribar's was. At least Escribar is somewhat philosophical. You get the impression the Penitent one isn't. You know? The Penitent one is almost machine-like in his pursuit of the miracle. It's almost like, you know, being the silent, faceless protagonist, he's just a vessel. There's actually nothing there. This is a really good example of what I was talking about, where so much of this fight relies on how the platforms choose to manifest. I don't know why, but I found it a little easier this time round. I don't know whether it's been changed and refined a little bit in the update, but the fight didn't feel as difficult as it did when I first played Blasphemous. That damn sword, man. It still comes down to the bloody wire, as this fight often does. You know, it's often the case that it's, you know... Uh-oh, I hate that attack so much. It's so hard to dodge. Look, and it's so hard to hit the bastard sword. It really is. That you can only hit the eye. You can't hit any other part of the sword. So when it's floating around like that, it's so difficult to actually get a bead on. Got it. There we are. Right. And of course he chooses to do the fire now. The one where you don't have any chance of getting any lucky hits in, and which delays you such that the sword is inevitably going to remanifest. These poison globes are the easiest in this form, without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah, he's beautiful. He's a fantastic final boss. I'm imagining when the inevitable sequel comes out, and it will, this game was really popular. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a sequel in production right now. I've got a funny feeling the final encounter might be the Penitent one, or some form of the Penitent one. You know? I think we may be playing as Chrysanta, or as, maybe as some other scion of the Miracle? It will be really interesting to see what they do with it. Are they going to explore the Miracle deeper? Because it is such a capricious, mysterious thing. I would love to know just a little bit more about it. Not too much. I don't want to know, you know, precisely what the Miracle is, or what it represents. I certainly don't want to know what it derives from, you know, what god created it, or whatever, if any. I would just like a few more teasing suggestions. Look at this. One last hit for me, a few hits for him. This is down to the frigging wire. This is mad. Ah, damn it. Ah, yes, maybe one more go at it then. Maybe one more go. I promise you on the next one we do it. We actually get the bloody thing. Oh, I've got a cup of coffee here, by the way. That was right down to the wire. We were so close there. I like how different the tone of the deambulatory is. Blah, blah, blah. We've heard all this. Blah, 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 blah. We've heard this. There you are, sir. Blah, 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 blah. I bless you forever in death. Yes, we know. He's rather luck-based as well, this version of Escribar, because he can appear almost anywhere on the screen when he teleports. And depending on where he appears depends on how difficult the attacks actually are. If he appears in the middle of the screen, they are much harder to dodge because you've got much less space to play in. So I'm just enjoying a coffee here while I tackle this second fight with Escribar. Also, certain attacks are easier to dodge than others. Those purple projectiles in this phase are really hard. Really hard to dodge. You are almost certainly going to get hit by some of them. Whereas the fire, if he does the fireballs in this phase, it's not half bad. It doesn't really matter that much. Have you noticed when he performs his miracles, he's carving the infinity symbol, the twisted rune of the miracle, which represents the twisted one and the tree. It's cool, isn't it? This one's a bit harder as well. The lightning is quite hard to dodge. Now, where's he going to appear? He can appear right on top of you as well and hurt you, which is a bit of a pain, really. Yeah, he's tough. One more. There we go.
You have now used
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And here comes the ashes. These are, believe it or not, these are not only the ashes of desolation, the ashes of they're the ashes of those who have tried this before, basically. Anyone who has attempted to dethrone Escribar as the child of the miracle, that's the fate they've ultimately come to. They've become part of the Mountain of Ash. And on top of the Mountain of Ash is the Turned Throne. And the Turned Throne won't mean anything to you unless you've gone deeper into the lore. The Turned Throne is Escribar's. It's the throne that he turned away from the miracle when it wouldn't speak to him. He turned his back on it, literally and figuratively. And that's what the Turned Throne represents. It's cool, isn't it? It's a cool little mythology. Heavily inspired, as you know, by Dark Souls. I mean, the tone of it, the metaphysical nature of it, is very, very Dark Souls indeed. Even Escribar is very much kind of an analogue of Gwyn from the original Dark Souls. And of, is it Vandrek or Vandrid, the king from Dark Souls 2? And I suppose of Lothric, you know, the King Lothric from Dark Souls 3. Yeah, it's an amazing encounter, this one. I love it. I love it to bits. He doesn't actually do much, interestingly. I mean, it's more ambient, really. He's just in the background. He himself does nothing. He's just casting his miracles and whatnot. It's more of a puzzly encounter than anything, this one. I have to admit, there was a point in this fight where I didn't think I was going to do it. I thought I'd lost too much health, but no, it's not that bad. I think, you know, they've given the sword more endurance. I think in the update, they've given the sword more health. There was, in the original fight, you could take it down with just a few swings. It became almost desultory, you know? But we are, yeah, he is not as hard as Chrysanta. Chrysanta's much harder. Bloody hell, look at this, it's so hard to dodge. It's so hard to dodge. Fortunately, we do have a fair bit of health, so we're not doing too badly here. It is rather difficult, though, because the moment we're hit, that health is going to stop going up. And off it floats off the screen again, which is most annoying. Uh-oh. Here we go again! He starts casting that more when you get down to his last 3 health bars. Ah, thank God for that. I'll thank the miracle for that, actually. Oh, we are so close now. Look at this. Oh, there we go! And Escribar ascends. Look at this. That is such a cryptic image. He moves on to the next part of the dream. Wow. Summa blasphemia. Indeed. Indeed. Yeah, I mean, it's highly symbolic. It doesn't really tell you anything. But you have to infer that that's what that means. That you've allowed Escribar to escape his mortal shell and his earthly torment. There's the Turned Throne. And here's our guide throughout.
You have freed His Holiness from his afflicted torment, and now he walks by the old processions on the other side of the dream.
I wonder what that means. I'd love to know.
The cradle of the grievous miracle, the final relic. The grail of blood and gold that emanated from the forehead of the Father as he silently lamented the moment of his blessed twisting.
His blessed twisting. I love that. That's a great turn of phrase.
The first relic is here, at the top of the Ashen Mountain, next to the turned throne, where His Holiness was kissed by a miraculous pain.
Yeah, well, I suppose in his own peculiar way.
Your final communion with the miracle awaits.
Yeah, I suppose it's where Escribar...
Be able to know how much of it has seeped into your guilty heart.
It's where Escribar was forgiven by the miracle, I suppose.
Your communion.
Yeah, so if you don't do all of the Escribar statues, you sink into the Mountain of Ash and you just become another one of the bodies to feed it. There's the turned throne. Your guilt weighs too heavy on you. Your sins weigh you down, basically. However, because we have done it, we get the real ending. All this way, and this is what it's for. It makes sense in a way, because he becomes the next son of the miracle. And Deo Gracias, he brought us to this. He knew, somehow, that this was the will of the miracle. So we become the icon of the next age of Custodia. There we are. Worshipped and adored, but unable to move on, anchored in this world. Very cool. Very cool. I love it. It's just sad.
Thus came the moment of final communion with the sword born of guilt. A last sacrifice in order to finish penance and break off with the ungodly will of the grievous miracle.
Fascinating. So it's almost like his sacrifice freed Custodia of the miracle.
The plans of the miracle are capricious. Penance never ends, but changes, hurts, and condemns at will.
Yeah, so he hasn't quite succeeded, maybe. It almost makes him the Christ figure, doesn't it?
For the penitent one on the other side of the dream. His place is here among us.
How melancholy, how downbeat. It's almost as though in his sacrifice...
Father and the last son of the miracle.
Yeah, he's prevented himself from moving on. He's prevented himself from ascending.
Our prayers
And is now just anchored here in torment.
and ever.
He's taken the sins and the pain of humanity upon himself. It's very sad. It's very sad indeed. So this is really just the credits. We'll skip over those, I think, because we've seen them before. We've seen them many times before. We'll go directly to the epilogue, which massively, well, it doesn't suggest, it outright states that there's probably going to be a sequel, or that certainly there's another story to tell. That's for damn sure. I mean, it is the kind of game, the kind of story that you could fashion endless sequels for. There are so many permutations of the miracle and ways that it could potentially manifest. There are endless stories to tell, you know? Endless stories. I'm fairly certain there's supposed to be music playing over this, but for some reason there isn't. Anyway, let's go.
And thus shall your name be erased under the heavens.
Mm-hmm. She's still around. So she takes the sword of guilt from us. You've acquired a Reliquary of the Suffering Heart. Fabulous. Okay, my loves, that's the end of Blasphemous. Thank you so much for accompanying me, and when we come back, maybe another Metroidvania, eh? Because I really love these games so much. Until then, my dears, bye-bye!